Welcome back to another video tour of my layout. This video tour will be a little less glamorous than my earlier tour video, but it represents the heart and functionality of my layout and operations. But first, please consider taking a second to like and subscribe and follow along with the channel. Staging, specifically well thought out staging, is essential for most operations on a variety of layout sizes. While I like to think that my staging is well thought out, it is a compromise for the space that is available to me. My approach is quite unique and can best be described as stacked staging. Stick with me and I'll explain. Before going into the design and function of my staging yards, I think it's worthwhile to review my overall track plan. My layout operates point to point with the option of a continuous loop through the staging. The Slayton subdivision in the early 1990s was an important link for West Coast or Western Point traffic to get into Texas and the reverse. I model the portion from Lubbock to Temple with some liberties in between. Firstly, I realized that part of my railroad would rightfully be within the Lampasas subdivision. But I have changed history a little bit and have erased the routings out of Sweetwater and Brownwood. In my own history, trains tuned from Dallas and Fort Worth were routed via Temple. This provides for a generous amount of traffic on the line and keeps operators moving when traffic levels are up. My layout is double-decked, with the upper level being the scenic stage for operators and the lower level used primarily for staging. While unscenic, the lower level is the heart of the operations and pumps east and westward traffic up and across the layout. The Texas staging is the source of most westbounds that originate east of Temple Yard. Trains leave here and make a short run to Temple and continue westward across the layout. On the other end of the layout is the west staging yard, known as Lubbock. All eastbound trains enter the layout through Lubbock. My staging yard is actually 3 yards in one. West staging at Lubbock, east staging at Texas, and one I call central staging. Central staging is exactly that. It's central to the other 2 staging yards. Central staging's primary purpose is to originate and terminate mostly intermodal trains. All 3 yards are double-ended, and some trains will reverse direction on the layout during operating sessions. It also makes flipping power or blocks of cars much easier between sessions. Now, here is what makes my approach to staging so unique and why stacked staging was my best way forward. I was limited by 1-foot wide benchwork for my staging, but I had about 60 feet linearly to play with. I explored several options, including stretching out a yard and using each track to hold multiple trains, but this didn't offer the flexibility I wanted. I wanted the option for continuous running, so I needed 1 track available for that. That left me with space for 4 staging tracks. However, by breaking up the staging into sections, I was able to triple that to 12 staging tracks, plus 2 small connectors for smaller trains like my Union Pacific Transfer and company service trains. This actually left me with 1 extra staging track, which is never a problem, and more often than not, for operators, it's a solution. Features that I have added to the staging yards have been re-railers on both ends of most tracks, and the options to toggle off track power to each track. These improve reliability and really are a topic of future discussion. I wanted to make sure that my staging track lengths were consistent with my passing sidings on the layout, and the only way I could do that was to stack the yards. Stacking of yards really means overlapping and sharing real estate by having the yard's ladders in reverse of the adjacent staging yard's ladder. This concept is most evident between the Lubbock staging and central staging. This design was modified somewhat between central staging and Texas staging. What I ended up with was the space I needed and the flexibility I desired. Sure, there are some compromises, but I think that as a model railroader, we all have to make some compromises. Rather, many compromises. A staging yard is key to your operating scheme in that you have to have the capacity and the yards have to be fluid and functional. The operation of the layout depends on it. If nothing else, this video shows that the design of staging is limitless and driven by the space you are afforded. Thanks for riding along. If you haven't already, please click like or subscribe. And until next time, Slayton Sub out.